Hey everyone, it's Synth Designer back again with another sound design basics video. Today I wanted to talk about an effect that's widely used in electronic music and in other forms of music as well, and that's the chorus effect. I want to kind of give beginners a very quick overview of what the chorus effect does and kind of the instances where you would hear about it or hear it in a mix. Most famously, chorus effects were used during the 80s. You can hear it in different styles of music, actually, not just using synthesizers, but so many guitarists use the chorus effect, even to this day, but especially in the 80s, you'd hear it all over the place. Eddie Van Halen, among others. It was just so ubiquitous in the 80s, and since I often make synthwave music, I use it in a lot of different ways. But it's not just synthwave and kind of 80s rock, 80s hair metal. It could be used in a lot of different ways. And I just wanted to kind of give you kind of a broad overview and then we can listen to how it sounds and kind of the effects on it. I find it really important that as a beginner, you really just take some time to appreciate how it sounds. And so then you can kind of get an idea maybe later on when you're creating music. Hey, this can really kind of add something to my song. Very quickly, let's head over to just the Wikipedia article, and I want to mention a couple things. So looking at the definition of chorus, it's an audio effect that occurs when individual sounds with approximately the same time and very similar pitches converge. When you think of a chorus, you think of possibly kind of a choir or string orchestra, as it says. Choruses have been used in different types of music going back centuries. Even in traditional theater, you had a chorus. So it's gone back so many years, and it's just been a staple in so many forms of art. Now, for our purposes, we are not creating a chorus via kind of what they call acoustic methods. We're going to be talking about it in electronic music. So it's essentially an artificial effect that we're going to create. I don't know if you've seen these kind of chorus pedals, for example, that a lot of guitarists used. These pedals and these types of effects came into play in the late 70s, and that's why it became popular in the 80s. Oftentimes, these kind of inventions come along and people start using them all over the place. One important note here is that the effect is achieved by taking an audio signal and mixing it with one or more delayed copies of itself. So if we think about it, we're going to take the same signal, copy it, and it's going to be slightly delayed. And that's essentially what we have. You don't need to know everything about it, but essentially what we have is kind of a same wavetable, if you think about it, but it's going to be moving slightly differently. That's just slightly. And that creates enough of an effect that's going to give us the kind of electronic chorus effect. Otherwise, if it's too far apart, then we're going to get into detuning, phase issues, etc. So let's take a look at just a basic saw pad and how it can function. So let's hear it. Very simple, slightly filtered saw. So we have some unison here, 6 voices and 5 voices. But then we're going to add some chorus and see the effect here. So as you can hear, as we turn up the mix, obviously the chorus effect comes into play. And what you hear, you hear a phasing type of issue. So, sorry, not an issue, but a phasing type of sound. What's happening is the wavetables and the delay are kind of making it sound like it's coming in and out of phase. And that just means that the various wavetables, which have been artificially created by the chorus, are essentially making them kind of move slightly differently. And the more we turn up the mix, the more we can hear that effect. But if we turn it about middle of the mix, we can really hear just how much of a difference it makes. And there's a lot of voices. Vital is a great way to use it. I sometimes find Vital's chorus not the best, but I wanted to kind of give you an example just of a free VST, how it can work. See the voices and how those affect each other. So those voices are really adding to that chorus effect. Obviously, the more voices, the more of a chorus effect. And you can see it's kind of cool here, how they're moving apart. Another cool thing is with Vital, you can change the spread of it. So you can have just the higher frequencies have it. So let's turn this up and really hear it. And then you can hear the lower frequencies, which is a little harder to hear. The middle frequencies. So that's a cool little feature there for Vital. But the important thing here is you can really hear kind of its detuning effect, kind of a swirling effect a little bit. And that adds kind of what you would think of is kind of 80s style music, right? You have kind of an artificial type of sound to it. And it kind of gives that detuned vibe as well. Rather than just using kind of LFOs specifically, this adds width and kind of detuning and kind of variation. So that's really the basics of this video. I didn't want to go into too much detail, but I wanted to show you just how it works and kind of the idea behind the chorus, how it came about, and wanted to kind of give you some ideas maybe on how you can use it. You'll hear it mostly in pads these days. You'll also hear it in guitars and stuff like that. That's never going to change. But for common usage in electronic music, it's usually in pads because that's when the sound really comes through. When you have a plucky sound, you won't hear it as much, but you'll still hear it. And the other issue is that you might not find it's quite as useful in leads, for example. Leads, you tend to want to have a little bit more up the center, but of course, you can still use them. So play around with the chorus setting, see what you find. Hopefully this kind of gives you some idea on how it works, and I'll see you next time.